So this next question is kind of a compliance question, is how do you navigate international patents and patent laws? And there's a whole set of issues associated with selling your product overseas, right? There's regulatory issues, there's import issues, there's taxation issues, there's tariffs, there's compliance, certain ingredients in U.S. food is not allowed in Europe, for example. So there's just, it's gotten very easy to send your product anywhere. But always remember you're subjecting yourself to liabilities and so forth for all those markets that you enter, right? And often, I do this all the time, where clients are thinking about their foreign filing of their patents. So I remind them that there's a whole lot of money to be made in the United States with your product, and you're probably going to be retired by the time the markets develop overseas. So taking your product overseas, everybody dreams of that, and of course there are advantages to doing that. And in some areas you have to do that. So, but it brings in a whole bunch of regulatory and compliance and risks. And I'll talk specifically about patent risks here. So you can take your US filing, your US patent filing, or most of the countries on earth, and within a year you can file in other countries, or you can start this unified process, this PCT process, to then file in all these countries. So it's really easy to do, filing your patent everywhere. And what you'll find is that each country is its own little world. There are some regions, European region, there's a couple in Africa, there's Russian Federation, I think, has one. Asia may be developing one. There are regional patents, but generally it's country by country. So you're entering in a country, you may find that there was a competitor there that has perfectly valid patents, and as you enter that market, you're going to get sued. Every jurisdiction is its own little battlefront. And sometimes you've developed a good international portfolio, so you're entering in a particular market and you already have a few patents in there. And even if somebody gets territorial about that market, they're not likely to sue you, because you could sue them back with your portfolio, or in a country that they find important. So a lot of people may want to have coverage in Europe, but really most of the litigation happens in Germany today. So they'll just file in Germany, and it's a unified market. You can't really sell into Europe without it passing through Germany, so they'll file a bunch of German patents, and there may be a competitor in Spain that's only in Spain, but their product is going to be accessible to the German market, would be damaged by a lawsuit there that you might assert. So when you enter in Spain and they could crush you with their patent portfolio, they're not likely to do it because you may be able to cause harm somewhere else. So as you go internationally, every jurisdiction is its own little world, right? Not just in the patent space, but with everything else, right? There may be certain regulations, anything that we plug into the wall as regulations, safety regulations, and so forth. So underwriter's laboratory is very popular in the US, but there's a different one that's used in Europe, and there's a different one that's used in China. You may have to go through those regulatory hurdles to get broad market adoption. And those patent battles also, if it's a contentious area and there's lots of people with patents, you can't just enter a market. You're going to immediately be crushed in some cases, because patents are used as a barrier to entry to protect the territory where they're making money. And you don't want to fall into that trap. So I would say when navigating international patent laws, think of just kind of that threshold matter of, there's all these battles. And then the patent laws are a lot more similar than they are different, right? There's the different types of patents, the length that they last, the sorts of things that get approved. There are quirks, and when it comes to enforcement, there's also different ways to enforce them. Sometimes it's expensive, sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's unlikely you'll ever win as a foreign company. There's all these factors. But what I find the biggest mistake is that everybody kind of in the US will think, well, it works just like the US. And ergo, I'll just go into that market and it'll provide me the same protections. Well, that's not true. I'm not going to disparage individual countries, but there's one country that is very popular in certain sectors, and the courts are so backlogged you can't get into court for 10 years. So how is that going to affect your strategies? Well, you might not worry about anybody's patents for a few years because it's very hard for them to stop you. But also know that you're not going to get your patents enforced in the same way. There's another country where, if you look at it statistically, foreign corporations almost never win, right? They're juries and they tend to be very ethnocentric. So you're unlikely to win even if the merits in an objective sense would tend to indicate that you should win. So you have to look at all these things when you're making your decisions on where to file and understanding where the risks might be. But don't think it's just like the US. It's not. The enforcement, your ability to get a patent, your ability to stop somebody, it goes country by country. So it better be a pretty big market you want to worry about, because there's just all these moving parts associated with getting into a particular market. Patents just being one of them. So at any rate, I hope that answers your question.